Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. Kevin here. Great to have you all on the call tonight. There's so many of you here tonight. Now, before we kick start, could I get a yes, you can hear me? Or no, or nothing if you don't hear me. Just a few yeses would be great. Okay, thank you, Roger. Peter, Kendall, yep, great. Lots of yeses. Wow, there's a lot of names I recognize. And before we start, I just want to give you guys a heads up. A lot of you were already on a sales call not too long ago, a few weeks ago now, with myself and Jason. So I'm kind of thinking that you liked what he had to say and you got value out of it because I know I did. So if you want, if you have the link that we used to sign up for this webinar, if you're in any Skype groups and you think there's friends or relatives or whatever that would get some benefit out of this, you're more than welcome to share the link with them because this information is valuable and it's free tonight on this webinar. So, you know, if you have friends or Skype mastermind group buddies that would be interested, by all means, tell them to come on over. I don't normally do this, but I know that a lot of you do like what Jason has to say, and the response has been phenomenal with the last webinar. So by all means, you're more than welcome to share that. So I have on the call with me tonight a sales superstar called Jason Canagan. Now, he doesn't call himself sales superstar. It's a name I've given him, just myself, simply because I really like his methods. And a lot of you have liked his methods because I know when I had Jason on the last time, a lot of you picked up his sales training program. And I guess a lot of you also want to hear what else he has to say tonight. And as I had sent the emails out telling you guys, he's talking about Google Places, how to sell Google Places over the phone. This is very important for me because obviously I am the owner of Mappy, and Google Places is a big part of my life, I suppose, really, but also my business too. So what I'll do is I'll stop blabbing on here now, and I'll move it across to Jason. So I'd like to introduce Jason Canagan. Hi, Jason. Welcome to the call.
Thanks, Kevin. Good evening, everybody. Glad to be here. Glad to be back. Nice to have the opportunity to share some of this stuff again. What you're going to find is that the whole process for selling all of this kind of stuff, Google Places, mobile sites, SEO, SMS, reputation management, all these kinds of things, Facebook fan pages, is all quite similar because they all are about the same thing. They all achieve the same objective. If you kind of back out one degree of abstraction, every single one of these things, although the technology and the technique of how you achieve it is a little bit different, the objective is the same, which is to bring your client a steady stream of qualified inbound leads. And the cool thing is your prospect doesn't care how you do it. As long as you get a steady stream of qualified inbound leads for them, they'll be happy with you. And if your method of doing that is to fly a bunch of crop duster planes over to town and drop leaflets with their website on it and their phone number, and that brings them a steady stream of qualified inbound leads, they're going to love it. So we don't begin by talking about our solution. That would be a mistake because as soon as you call up and identify yourself as Google Places optimization expert, and that's what you're trying to sell to them, they're going to stop you. They're going to cubbyhole you, and you'll become a commodity. Oh, my cousin can do that. And suddenly it will all become about price. So if you've been on the other webinar and you heard some of that information about how to sell mobile sites, some of this may seem like repetition, and that would be a good thing. The biggest problem that experienced salespeople have is they think they know it all. And you really do need constant reinforcement of these techniques, or else you slip back into your old comfort zone and you start doing sloppy work without a consistent technique or a process, and that's what leads to burnout, failure. So we need to be consistent about what we're doing. I review and review and review, and I'm constantly learning and reinforcing this stuff into my head. So, and that's how you get it to become an automatic response. If you were to learn how to play guitar, You don't want to figure out which, you know, where you're going to put your fingers, right? Which key, whatnot, you know, you're going to be trying to get, and get your hand over there and your other hand's strumming. And if you were to think about all that, you would fail. You would be a terrible guitar player. So same thing here. Study it. Keep getting these techniques reinforced, and then they will become automatic responses, and you'll be quick and agile. You'll know what's coming up next when your prospect does not, and you can lead them nurturingly through that process, and they'll like you. Everybody wants to be led through a process. They want to know what's going to happen next, and they want to know that there is a process, not that this is a slippery, happy-go-lucky, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't kind of sales attempt. You know, they want to know that this is going to work. So you're going to think about that steady stream of qualified inbound leads to start off with. And this is the lure. This is the big draw, because this is what really people want. They're not interested in mobile sites or Google Places or SEO. Those things frighten them. As soon as you call up and say, "Hi, do you want Google Places optimization? It's $120 a month," or something like that, the result is panic and skepticism. You know, I don't want it, I don't need it, and whatever you quoted, $120 a month or $497 a month or whatever. I've lived without it this long, and everything's going fine. Why do I need it? That's too much. My cousin Eddie can do it. You know, they never get their cousin Eddie to do it, but that's irrelevant. Really, it just means that you don't get the order. So we have to do something different. Now, the good news is that's what you're up against. Salespeople who call up and say, "Hi, do you want Google Places? It's $197 or $120 a month or something like that," and that sounds awful. That's terrible for all those reasons that we just listed, and it results in a frightened prospect who says, "No thanks, I'm not interested," and hangs up, and now bam, you're off the call. That was 10 seconds. Not a lot of fun here. Let's we'll go over a couple numbers here, especially for folks who are new to this and haven't heard of this before, about cold calling, some statistics about calling, to give you a reality check. What typically happens with folks who are new to calling is that they get involved and they decide to make some calls, and they get a little list together and maybe kind of a script and start calling, and they make 10 or 12 dials. That's it. And they feel that that's a lot. And something bad happens, which is that nobody answers the phone, and the 1 out of 10 that does maybe tells them to take a hike. They're not interested in it. And so the result is you take this really personally, and it's not fun anymore. And then you grind out 3, 4, 5 more dials, and the result's the same. Nobody answers, and if they do, they're not interested. And now we got a problem. You are physically feeling almost sick, shaking, sweating, vibrating almost, you know, stuck in the present moment. Phone's looking at you, you're looking at it. It's not going to let you pick it up. And mentally, you're very tense and feeling these very loud negative thoughts in your head of, "I can't do this, this is a waste of time, I can't go on," and you've really taken it personally. So I want to give you a couple of numbers that will help you deal with this, because if nobody ever explained this to you, you would think that it was just happening to you. And the truth is it happens to everybody who gets into calling. So no matter who you are, whether you're experienced in selling or a complete newbie to it, we all have the same issue to deal with, the same reality, and then that is that of the calls you make, on average, half of them, right off the bat, aren't going to get answered. Nobody's going to be there to take your call. And they're out they're at lunch or at the water cooler or in training or in a meeting or doing work that's more important, than they've put their phone on Do Not Disturb, or they're sick today. They could be anywhere. And they really are. They're not ducking your call usually. They really are just busy and not around. And that's on average half the time. Of the other half that do answer the phone, half of them can't actually talk right now. And so you say, well, why on earth did they pick up the phone if they can't talk right now? And the answer is they're trying to find out if it's some kind of an emergency for them. And so if you're calling restaurants, an emergency would be they're shutting their gas off. No gas, no cooking. no cooking, no restaurant making money. So that would be a major problem. As soon as they find out it's not that, that's not the reason that the call is coming in, they need to get out of there. They need to get off the phone. So what this sums out to, as you can see, is 3/4 of your dials on average aren't going to get to a decision maker who can talk to you today. Okay? And that's true for everyone. Great at sales, new to sales. We all have that reality to deal with. And it's okay. It's not just happening to you. It's true for everybody. So I want to give you something to do about this that helps you. I personally like to rig games, not cheat, but to use the conditions that are there. If I can't change them, I might as well make them work to my advantage. And so what I'd like to do for you is help you get into a situation where every step you take is positive. It's a step forward, and it's going to help you. What we can do about this is we know, and this is what I do. The first week that I call into a new market, I know I'm not going to talk to decision makers for the first few days. Odds are I'm not. Look, 3/4 of my dials on average are not going to get to one. So what can I do? What can I do to make sure that we move forward here? And it's not just important to make progress. It's important that you feel that you're making progress too. So here's how to do it. We're going to use this little unsure technique. I don't always get into this. It's something different that we can talk about from last time. I don't think we got into this. But the psychology here is if you're a little bit unsure, and not wussy, not weak, not scatterbrained, but just unsure, if you're a little bit less well off emotionally than the person you're talking to, i.e. the gatekeeper, they are more likely to help you. It's just psychology. So we call up and we say, hi, my name's Jason. I'm not sure who I should speak with, but typically, I talk with the person who's in charge of new customer acquisition or, internet marketing or something, right, to do with whatever it is that you help out with, what your solution is good for helping. And I don't know who would have that under their umbrella, though, so I don't know if you could help me or not. Now, did I sound pathetic when I said that? No, I just said it in my regular voice, but I'm unsure. Okay? Most of the time, the gatekeepers will shoot your call right through to somebody. In fact, half the time probably they do it so fast that they don't even tell you who you're going to be sent to. It's like, boom, wow, I got sent along there. Right? Sometimes they'll be like, oh, that's John, and they'll send you through. Just about every time you're going to get sent through because the gatekeepers actually don't want to make decisions. They don't want any responsibility. That's why they're doing that job. They want to come in, put in their time, and go home. So give them a reason to send you along. Okay? That's how we make friends with them and get sent along. Now we're in John's voicemail maybe, or John has picked up the phone. Yeah, let's say John picks up the phone. We don't know if John's the right person though. Still, switchboard could have screwed up and sent us to the wrong person. So we'll just repeat what we said. Hey, John, not sure if we should be speaking. That is a beautiful phrase. Not sure we should be speaking. Our job is to get people out of whatever it was that they were doing, reading emails, writing reports, doing spreadsheet work, I don't know what. But out of that, off the computer or whatever it is that they're doing, and onto the call with you. I'm not sure we should be speaking. Huh? Why not? Curious. Okay. But, switchboard transferred me to you, and, my name's Jason, and I typically work with or talk to the person who's in charge of new customer acquisition or internet marketing or whatever it is, right, that you take care of. And, but I don't know if that's under your umbrella or not. And guess what? They'll tell you. Yes, it is, or no, it isn't. If it's not, they'll send you along to somebody else. Oh, the switchboard screwed up again. No, that's actually Ted over in marketing. Okay. Hey, Ted's not in, though, is he? Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, okay. Oh, can I talk to him? Yeah, I'll send you along. When Ted picks up the phone, you just repeat the same thing. Hi, Ted. Now, this is fast. This takes like 30 seconds. I was talking to John, and I'm not sure, you're the right person for me to be talking to, but he thought you might be. Usually talk to the person who's in charge of new customer acquisition, but I'm not sure if that really is you or not. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Now, if you've got this far into the organization, odds are you are talking to the right person, but you can keep doing this until you get to either voicemail or the right person. If you get voicemail, you can leave one of two different kinds of messages. I'll give you a couple of choices here. Okay. First one is very similar to what you would just say if they picked up the phone. This is John's voicemail. Leave a message. Okay. Hi, John. Not sure if we should be speaking, but switchboard sent me along to you. I usually talk to the person who's in charge of this or that. But again, I don't know if that's under your umbrella. I'd appreciate it if you could let me know whether it is or not, or if there's somebody else there I should be talking to. It's 4 o'clock here in Wilmington. I'll be in the office out here on the East Coast until 5. Other than that, I'll be back at 9 tomorrow morning. Here's my number. Blah, blah, blah. That's it. The other message you could leave, and this gets 2/3 callbacks. Okay, 2 out of 3 people usually will call back on this one because it works on simple curiosity. John, it's Jason. Just got a quick question about your business. It's 4 o'clock out here on the East Coast, and I'll be in my office until 5, and then back at 9 in the morning. Here's my number. Thanks. Works on simple curiosity. Okay. Note, in both of these messages, we did not get into why we called. You bring out your solution too early, they cubbyhole you, you're a commodity, then they can decide, well, there's no need for me to call that thing back. Why would I do that? Okay, curiosity. Now, when they do call back, you need to have something ready to explain why they needed to call you. Okay, or else they'll get mad at you. We'll get into that shortly. Okay, what to say. We would just go right into our regular pain point discussion for anybody who's looked at my stuff or heard me before. Okay. So that will help you get in and get started and start conversations with people. And this, you see, it gives you that feeling of progress, and you are making progress. You're finding out who to talk to. Now, as an alternate, you could ask the gatekeeper, look, once you know it's John you have to talk to, is there a time that, if you were in my shoes, that you would call back to have the best chance of talking to him? If you wanted to get a hold of him, what time would you call back? And they'll tell you something, 3 o'clock. And you're kind of, okay, will you remember my name, though? Will you put my call through when I call back? Okay, sure. Just asking those second little questions there. Will you remember my name? Will you put my call through? That sets up an upfront contract. Nobody does that, hardly anybody. So if you take the time, the extra 20 seconds to set that up, and then you calendar the call for 3 o'clock tomorrow, and you do that, you see, now you got calls in your calendar, right, for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You do it. They shoot your calls through. They're not holding you up anymore. This stuff about gatekeepers being adversarial, that's all in your head, if you believe that. Okay, it's one of those things. If you can succeed or fail, you're right either way. It's really up to you to decide whether you live in a friendly or antagonistic universe. And I've chosen to live in the friendly one, and it is friendly. People want to help. Gatekeepers want to help. Sure, one time in 100 or 200, you're going to run into that crusty old gatekeeper that doesn't want to do anything but squish salespeople flat. And my advice is just to say, oh, okay, thanks a lot, bye, and move on to your next call and go find somebody nice to talk to. But we don't need to view gatekeepers as adversarial. We don't. If you do view them that way as sort of the standard attacker, defender, the gatekeeper's in the machine gunner nest waiting for you to come up the aisle and shoot you down. My guess is that you're going to do things and behave a certain way that's going to create that result. So choose to have a different result, and you'll probably behave differently. But I've given you some help here on how to behave differently so that you get treated differently. All right, let's move into the call. How would we sell Google Places optimization? And I have to say, I'm not a Google Places optimization expert. For that kind of technical expertise, I would go talk to somebody else. But you don't need to be an expert in something in order to sell it. You need to find out why your prospect would want it, whatever it is. And in this case, they're interested in a steady stream of qualified inbound leads. Okay? People use Google Places to find a local source of whatever it is that they want. And if they're looking for it, they're probably wanting it pretty soon, right? So they're qualified. This is good. This is the kind of thing that we want to give to a client and charge them for it. So we're going to do a little bit of Google keyword research for our local area before we call. So if we're calling on, we'll use somebody yesterday. I was on the WSO call with tool and die companies. Okay, for some of these tool and die orders are really big. You know, $50,000, $100,000 is not uncommon. So we'll get a good bang for our buck here. You go find one of these companies, and if we do our Google keyword search, we could find that, I don't know, it could be small, 300 people a month, if our conversion rates can be low and get good effect. I mean, if 3 people turn into customers that buy $100,000 worth of stuff a month, this is worth it, right? So if we find that 300 people are searching for tool and die manufacturer at a local area, London or something like that. I don't know if there are any there, but let's pretend that they are, and then there's 300 people a month searching for that. Now you've got something. That's the size of your steady stream of qualified inbound leads. And those of you who were on for the mobile site webinar will remember that this is very similar. This is the size of the number of sort of water drops in your steady stream, right? There's 300 of them a month for this particular niche. So we're going to use that. Now, how do you start the call? This is a big problem, and it's an unacknowledged big problem, really. Most people are so bad at starting the call that they never get the rest of the call. They never get into a real conversation with anybody. Off the phone in 10 seconds. I'm not interested. Bam. You've been kicked out. So I don't wish that result for you, and I'd like you to have a more pleasant time of it. So we're going to behave again differently to get a different result here. How we're going to start off is counterintuitively. We're not going to identify ourselves. So when the gatekeeper passes us along to John, the tool and die company owner or decision maker, he's going to answer the phone and say, "It's John." Now, from what I just shared a few minutes ago about half the people who answer the phone can't actually talk right now, we need to keep this in mind and give them a chance to tell us that they're not ready to talk right now. And it's okay. It's not personal. They don't even know who you are yet or why you called. It's not rejection. This is just a need to reschedule if they tell you. So if they say it's John, and that's the way they answer the phone, we say, "Hi, John, is this a bad time to talk?" And again, it's counterintuitive. We don't say, "Is this a good time to talk?" Because that doesn't get them going, "Huh?" and out of whatever it was they were doing and starting to get on the call. We want, "Is this a bad time to talk?" And there's only 3 responses that you could get to this, really, 3 kind of categories. The first one is, "Yeah, it is actually. It is a bad time." That's okay. That's, again, not rejection. That just is a need to reschedule. Doesn't hurt. "Okay, thanks. I'll call back." And you're gone. Now, the reason we don't identify ourselves is we don't want to get involved in whatever bad thing, bad emotion may have happened over there just before we call. Because if you do, all that you'll, if you get your name in there and you really push for, well, when should I call back and let's set an appointment, or try and have the conversation with them right now, they're going to start associating that negative emotion with you. And I'll give you an example from my own experience. I was a credit manager for an electrical wholesaler for 4 years. I dealt with 7 branches, $2 million in collections a month. I got very good at talking with people about this very touchy subject of money. And so I thought I knew electrical wholesalers, and I was working with a sales trainer, and I called on an electrical wholesaler. And I was talking to the branch manager. He answered the phone, and I made the mistake, because I hadn't really understood this technique yet, of saying who I was. And it was a bad time. So we agreed that I would call back some other time. And about a week later, I was calling back with the purpose of inviting him to a evening sales training seminar, an in-person thing, free. He would learn a lot. And I got as far as saying, "It's Jason Canigan from this company." And he interrupted me, shouting, "Oh yeah, I remember you. I'm not interested." Bam! Hung up with a crash. It was scary. What the heck happened here? Right? I didn't do anything. "Oh yeah, I remember. It was a bad time." I had learned this in the meantime, I guess, because I remembered. It was a bad time. I called, and the negative emotion from that bad experience that had happened, it had nothing to do with me, right before I called last time, was now like stuck around my name for this guy, so I was in a huge hole if I ever wanted to talk to this guy ever again. Okay? So that's why we don't identify ourselves. So that's one response. Yeah, it is a bad time, actually. Okay, I'll call back. Thanks. Click, and you're gone. And it's fast, and it doesn't hurt. It's just a need to reschedule. It's not rejection. The second possible response is, oh, it's always a bad time. What do you got? And that is very common. And that's okay. That person's not really on the call yet, but they're kind of listening. The third response is the one we like to hear. It's, no, it's a good time. Who's this? And that person is curious. That person is getting on the call, and that's good. So if we get a second or a third response there, we can continue talking. Here's what we want to do. We want to get people out of what they were doing and onto the call, and we also want to reassure them that this isn't going to be a terrible experience. And I'm sure all of you have had the experience where you answer the phone and it's a sales call, and suddenly you're subjected to 15 minutes straight without a break for air, someone telling you about the benefits of something, aluminum siding or something else equally dreary that you don't really need. And you can't even get a word in edgewise to tell them, I don't need this thing. So we need to reassure them that this is not going to happen. Okay, we're not going to shy away and pretend this isn't a sales call and try to do some fancy systematic thing of maybe getting them to sign up for a directory listing or some baloney thing like that. But we are going to act differently so we get treated differently. So when they say, who is this or what do you got, we can say, okay, I appreciate that. Let me take a quick minute. I'll tell you why I called, and then you can decide whether we should keep talking or not. Does that sound fair? So we're reassuring them. Let me take a quick minute. That's all this will do, and we mean it, a quick minute, not 15 minutes of an unending barrage of features and benefits. Oh my gosh, nobody wants to deal with that. And then we're setting up this little upfront contract. If I tell you quickly, briefly, why I called, will you tell me whether we should keep talking or not? And that allows us to exert a little bit of control over this process. Prospect always has quite a bit of control because they can hang up whenever they want. But if we lead them down a consistent process, we can exert some control back. We can't make them do anything, but we can lead them in a direction. All right, and we still haven't identified ourselves because at this point they have a decision to make. They could say, no, you can't tell me why you called, go away, or they can say, yeah, sure, okay, go ahead. And I'm happy to share with you that it's been very, very rare, probably 1 in 1,000 or more, that will say, no, you can't tell me why you called. And I'll just ask you real quick, is this rejection? And no, it's not. Because, again, they don't know you. They don't know your name or why you called. What it proves, actually, is that this is a bad time for them. They stayed on the call to find out whether or not this was an emergency. It's not an emergency for them, and now they need to go. And that's okay. It's all right. We've been only on the phone for 30 seconds. It's okay. We can call back. It's just a need to reschedule. There's nothing fancy happening here. But that's very, very rare. And normally, there's no risk here, right? Let me take a quick minute. Okay, I can listen to you for 60 seconds and then tell you to go away. Everybody thinks. It's all right. There's no risk. So the vast majority of people will say, sure, you can go ahead. All right, fine. Maybe even grudgingly. But now we're getting the chance to actually have the start of some conversation with them. We can tell them why I called. We have permission to speak. Now we need to have a pain point or two for this industry. And a pain point is it's worded in a particular way. It uses a negative emotional word in the front: frustrated, concerned, upset, irritated, aggravated, disappointed, something like that. And then in the industry jargon, as best as we can, we want to talk about a typical problem that they're having in this industry that we help solve. Okay? So, and that industry jargon is really key because that gives you instant credibility. Okay? So, yeah, okay, go ahead, Jason. Tell me why you called. Okay, actually, I don't even know my name yet. So they just say, tell me why you called. All right. Well, my name's Jason Kanigan, and I typically work with tool and die manufacturers who are frustrated that their websites are just not working as a machine for driving a steady, qualified stream of inbound leads to them. Or they're concerned that their phone isn't ringing often enough with good inbound leads that they could talk to and convert into high-paying customers. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this. I did some research before I called because of the business that I'm in, and I found out that there's 300 people a month Googling for tool and die manufacturer London. And they're not seeing you. I mean, these are interested people, John, who want to talk to somebody like you. They're searching for this. This is not something you just casually search for, right? So, I mean, these guys want to talk to you, but they're not seeing you. You're not appearing anywhere in the answers to this or the response to this search request. So, you know, I'm not saying that I could divert all 300 of these to you and get them showing up at your door and whatnot, but I can say that I can truthfully divert some of these qualified prospects to you, and they'll be calling and showing up at your door and asking for help. And you can turn some of them, I'm sure, into happy customers. So I don't know, is this worth talking about for a couple minutes? See what they say. Remember, how does that sound compared to, hi, do you want to buy Google Places optimization? It's $120 a month. Okay, you tell me which one sounds better. So that's how we start off our call. We find out whether it's a bad time or not. We can continue. We set up a quick upfront contract letting them know that this isn't going to be a terrible barrage of features and benefits followed by a hard sell. We get permission to speak, and we set up that little upfront contract that says, if I tell you briefly why I called, will you tell me whether we should keep talking or not? And then we give them a reason to talk. We talk about these pain points, and we show them the size of that steady stream of qualified inbound leads that they probably know nothing about. They don't even know it exists. But once you get up there with real numbers in front of their face, or metaphorically, I guess, over the phone, it's in their ear, they're going to be interested more times than not. Now, all prospects lie. We need to keep this in mind. You and I do it too. It's okay. We don't need to get upset about it. We lie about how much money we've got, what our true budget is, because we don't want to get ripped off, and we lie about how bad the problem really is, because we don't want them to jack up the price and rip us off. Oh, he really needs this. Awesome. You know, ka-ching. So if we do that, we need to expect that our prospects will do that and not get upset about them for it. Now, again, as I've said before, if somebody lies to you 12 times in a row, we need to qualify that person out. They got a problem, you know. But if they lie to you once or twice, it's okay. It's okay. We expect that. So when people respond to you after you give them the pain points and give them the qualified inbound leads, you know, oh, everything's great. No, we're doing great. We don't need any help. We got more customers than we can handle. They're probably not telling the truth. Could they be? Yeah, sure. I've seen restaurants literally with lineups around the block. It's true, every night, because they offer such a large volume of food at a great deal that it's stupid not to go there sometimes, you know, if that's what you're in the mood for. But most places are just, they're lying to you about how well things are going because they're afraid of getting ripped off. So if they say that to you, everything's going great, I want to give you a response to give them, and it's indirect, and it's kind of a story about somebody else, so it's not confrontational. And that's important, because in any confrontational situation, who's going to lose? You know, we are. They can hang up on us. Forget you, click, you know. So here's what you say. If somebody tells you everything's going so awesome. John, really appreciate that. You're sharing with me how great your business is doing. Can I ask you a quick question before I go? Yeah, sure. Okay. John, when I first spoke with many of the business owners who eventually became my clients, they at first told me what you just did, that everything was going great and they didn't need any help. But after we had a chance to talk for a couple minutes, they realized that I could help them, and I did. And they started opening up with me and sharing with me the truth, which was that things were not nearly as rosy as they at first had shared. And I asked them, why on earth didn't you tell me the truth at the start? Could have helped you that much sooner. And they said, Jason, I just didn't know you. So John, that's not what's happening here, is it? And be quiet and wait for their response. Now, you might get nothing out of this. You might. You had nothing to start with anyway. Okay. If they say, no, everything really is great, that's cool. We can leave them alone for now. I would put them in the calendar to call them back in 6 months because their situation may have changed. But they might just open up and start sharing the truth with you. It kind of works on a little bit of embarrassment, and that's fine. Okay. If they say, of course, I'd like to talk about a steady stream of qualified inbound leads, because you just got instant credibility by talking about real problems in their industry jargon that they're talking about, that they know about, they're going to want to talk to you. A lot of them are. Now we can move in to find out how big, how expensive the problem is of the steady stream of qualified inbound leads and not having it. What is the problem with not having your Google Places optimization service? Okay, why would they want it? This is what we're going to answer. This technique is called monetizing the problem. And we need to do this because otherwise we are no better than the person who calls up and says, do you want this thing? It's so much money. There's no draw there. There's no reason why we should talk about it. What am I going to get out of it? What's in it for them is a bunch of new customers and the money that they bring. So we're going to talk about our tool and die manufacturer. John, that's great. Let me go hypothetical here for a minute. If I could wave a magic wand and do everything I said I could do just now, I bring you a steady stream of qualified inbound leads and divert some of these 300 people who are searching for you every month to your door and your phone, how many do you think that you could convert into customers? Okay. Now, this works on a principle. If they say it, it's true. If you say it, you have to defend it. Okay? Even if you were going to say exactly the same thing that they were going to say, because it came out of your mouth now, it's a target. So if you say, I can get you 3 new customers a month, really? How are you going to do that? I don't believe you. Prove it to me. Skepticism. That's a problem. It's a problem right now because now we have to bring out our solution, our expertise. We have to start talking about it. And this is the wrong place to do it. We're going to end up being a commodity here. If we bring it out now, our solution, start talking, well, I'm going to do this Google Places optimization thing. Oh, I know about that. They don't, but they say that they do. And oh, my cousin does that. I barely know about it, but I don't need any expertise. I can just get my neighbor to do it or something. Now we're dead. So we're not going to do that. See, traditional selling, I'll go off on a tangent here for a second. Traditional selling revolves around some kind of a presentation or a demonstration. And salespeople love to show off their product knowledge. So where do they go? They jump right into that presentation as early as they can because then they can get to talk about features and benefits and show off all their knowledge and look really cool. And if you're doing this to unqualified prospects, half of them are going to cut you off partway through and say, I'm not interested, and that's going to hurt your self-esteem. After a while, you're not going to want to do it anymore. And another bunch of them are going to enthusiastically nod and keep asking good questions, and they're going to get what's called unpaid consulting from you. They're going to get a free education from you. You're going to give them your expertise at no charge. And that's a mistake. They're going to disappear. You're going to think, hey, I got one. They're going to buy from me. They liked me. They clapped me on the back at the end and said what a great guy I was. Meanwhile, they've disappeared. You never hear from them again. They went off to find what you just educated them about at the lowest possible price. So we're going to avoid all this mess and nonsense by moving this demonstration or presentation part of the process to the very, very end. We're not going to reveal what we know until we're sure that they can pay us, they have a need for what we have to offer, and they're a good personality fit with us. Otherwise, we're just not going to do it because they're going to rip us off. They're going to take what we know and run, and we're not going to get paid. We got to think like lawyers here and accountants, okay? They don't do anything unless they get paid. Lawyer doesn't tell you, an accountant doesn't tell you exactly how they're going to do your taxes so that you get the refund, or the lawyer doesn't tell you exactly how they're going to keep you out of jail or get you out of trouble. They just do it and send you the bill. And that's what we need to do. The moment you put your technical knowledge out there for the world to see, you lose value. Okay. So let's hop back into our sales conversation here. And if I don't, I just want to make this clear. If I don't explain what I'm doing every step of the way, this whole conversation takes like 6 minutes. Okay? So you can have this whole thing, this whole conversation, 2, 3, 4, 5 times an hour with people. Easy. You call. So it's a great, great opportunity to make sales. Okay, we're monetizing the problem. So conservatively, John, how many new customers a month do you think that we could get if I waved the magic wand and diverted some of this steady stream of 300 qualified inbound leads to it? And they'll give you a number. Now you have to have a number in your head about, or your gut, about how comfortable you feel. And it has to be a conservative number. That's why we ask them a conservative figure, because they might hold you to it. So I'm good with 3 in this situation. I think, 2 or 3. So if they come back and they say 1, that's a bit low. We could do better than that. But if they say 10 or more, that's too much. Right? We probably can't achieve that, and we don't want to set ourselves up for failure. In this particular situation, a restaurant's numbers would be different, right? You're going to find, and this is a great qualifier, this whole monetizing the process system. If the revenue generated from your solution is not high enough, then it doesn't make sense, and you qualify them out. That's okay, right? But usually in good situations, you can have 2 arrangements. One's going to be low number of customers, high value of orders, or you're going to have a high number of customers and a low value of orders, just volume, right? And in either of those cases, the numbers could make sense. So in this case, if they come back and they say, well, I don't know, 1, we can say, John, yeah, that's great, appreciate that. That really is a conservative number, 1. Can I share with you that with businesses like yours, we've been typically able to get 3 conservatively a month of new customers. So, I'm comfortable with 3. If you want to go with 1, we can, but I'm good with 3. You want to go with 3? Okay. If they said 3 and you're good with 3, and you can just confirm it, great. I think we're bang on, similar to businesses like yours. If they said 10 or 100 or something like that, we've got to modify this down real fast. John, appreciate all the confidence you have in me bringing you all these inbound leads that are good, but I want to share with you that the non-blue sky version, which is that for businesses like yours, we've been able to comfortably get 3 a month. So could we go with 3? But you see, now we're nurturingly asking them or modifying the number. We're not pushing a number, and therefore they're much less likely to kick back at us. Okay. Now, we said we were monetizing the problem, so where's the money? Well, here it comes. John, would you be comfortable next sharing with me the average order value of someone? How much do they spend with you? That'll help us move to the next step here. And they might not be comfortable with that. That's okay. If they say, no, I don't want to share that with you, you can say, that's fine. You don't have to, actually. You just think of the number, and now multiply it by that 3 that we just picked, that agreed on, that number of new customers. So if they say it's $100,000, because it's tool and die stuff, and that's what this stuff costs, wow, we're at $300,000 a month. That's pretty astonishing. Some of you are going to go out and try and find these guys. How is the audio for everybody? I just saw something on the that may have been 10 minutes ago or something.
Yeah, there was just one I think had a problem with audio. I think everyone else seems to be all right, but if not,
okay.
I'm getting lots of okays.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. I'll continue on then here.
I'll go back on mute.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate that. Let's see. So we're at that 300,000 or whatever that revenue ends up. We monetize the problem. This is how much it's costing them not to go with you now. Okay? And it's impressive. Okay, but now we can tell them, well, let's multiply it by 12 and find out what it is over a year and get them to fill it out. And it's, I don't know what that is, 3 million or something like that. I'm away from my, what do you call it, calculator here. But it ends up being a lot more money anyway if you multiply it by 12. 12 times 300,000 equals, yeah. Wow. So 3.6 million over a year. I mean, that's stunning. Now, something happens here. First of all, the greed light goes on in their head big time because this is a lot of money, whatever it is, right? And it's a lot more impressive than that original figure. And they start thinking about getting it as a lump sum, not, 300,000 a month or whatever. So we want to use every emotional thing that we can to get them. We're not cheating anybody here, ripping anybody off. These are conservative estimates that we're comfortable with. If we couldn't do this, if you can't do this, don't say it, okay? And don't let them say it, all right? You have to be ethical. You have to actually do this. But look at the value we're creating for this person. Wow, John, that's, you said it's 3.6 million a year. What would you spend that money on? And I'll share this with you. Nothing that you or I could tell this person right now would be more motivating emotionally, intellectually, whatever, than what they're thinking about right now. Okay? What they're imagining right now. So we'll let them do that. So we let them fantasize for a couple seconds, and then we got to bring this guy back to reality to make a decision for us. John, that's just great. I want you to get the new power boat or house or whatever it is, and I can help you. Just thinking here, based on that 3.6 million figure, what would you think the investment would be to get you to this point? And again, we're questioning, we're asking. If they say it, it's true. If we say it, we have to defend it. So I think what's going to happen here is, we just asked them, what would you pay for this steady stream of qualified inbound leads, which is worth X, right? We monetized the problem, came out at X. And they are much more likely to give you a higher number than what you would have originally charged, I think, for Google Places listing, because that's not what we're offering anymore. We're offering a solution that brings them a steady stream of qualified inbound leads worth this. And we deserve to get paid a lot more money for that. You deserve to get paid according to the size of the problem, in proportion to the size of the problem. So if you solve a $100,000 problem and you solve a $3 million problem, you deserve to get paid a lot more money to solve that $3 million problem, even if what you do is exactly the same as solving a $100,000 problem. Look at the value you're creating for these people. Okay? So they're more likely to give you a number between 5 and 10%, or even if it's like 2.5%. Look at this, right? Well, let's see. And this is what they're thinking. Wow, new powerboat, wife's going to be happy, new vacation home, I don't know. What do you say, investment? Well, let me see here. 10% would be $360,000. That's too much. Well, we got $180,000 at 5%. I don't know. I'd spend $1 to make 10, but that's a lot. I don't know. So they say to you, I don't know, $60,000. Okay, that is a lot more money than I'm sure what people are charging for Google Places listings. But if this is what it's worth, this is what it's worth. And it's astounding, isn't it, the difference between what you would charge as selling a commodity and what you're charging based on what you're achieving for them here. Okay. If they don't want to give you a number, I just want to share this. I didn't share this last time. If they don't want to give you a number, and they say, "Well, you're the expert. You're selling me. You tell me." Okay. Or they give you a really low number that's dumb. And if somebody came back and said $500, I'd throw it back in their face. Like, John, really? $500 for a $3 million conservative solution? You got to go back and think that through again, don't you think? What are they going to do? They might hang up on you or whatever. Who cares? And then you qualify them out for being an idiot. So if they insist on a number, you want to try and kick it back to them once. Okay, if somebody asks you a question twice, you have to answer it. Otherwise, they'll get mad at you. But if they ask you it once, that first time, kick it back to them. John, well, that's great. I can give you a number, but I'd really like to hear what you think that this is worth. Okay, and be realistic, please. I mean, look at the value that's being created for you here. All right, but if they insist, take a value, and it depends on the size of the solution that we're talking about. If we were in the tens of thousands, I'd go with a higher percentage, 10%, 5%, something like that, you know. But when we get up into the hundreds of thousands, 3%, I think, is your bottom point of your range to start talking about. And up here in the millions, it's you know, and I'm sure there's other salespeople out there who could say, well, no, you could get away with even more than that. But if they're saying, you know, it's a $100,000 solution, I'd be comfortable with, you know, minimum 3,000 and up, right? So, and as high as 10,000. So you got to give them a range. So pick your bottom point and go up from there. Whatever they come back with, if it's you know, in your happy zone, right? It's way above what you would normally charge, and you're comfortable with it. You want to confirm right away. So if they come back with this 3.6 million revenue stream, and they come back with a 60,000 figure for the investment, and you're happy with it, I would say right away, John, that's great. I think we're right in the ballpark. Projects like this typically range between 60 and 75,000, so I think we're right on the money. Now we got to figure out whether this guy can actually pay this. It's all wonderful to say they would pay so much for this steady stream of qualified inbound leads, but what can they actually pay? So John, you know, that 60,000, is that a lot of money for you compared to the 3.6 million? Is that a lot of money? And if they say, yeah, it is, then honestly, they will probably qualify out. Be ready for that. And that's okay. It's okay because we don't want to get involved with everybody. Lots of people are bad clients. They would make bad clients, so we don't want to get involved. But when they come back and say, yeah, it is a lot of money, then we can say, oh, really? Why? I'm surprised. And see what they say. And they'll say something horrible, probably like they're getting a divorce and their cash and assets are all going to be tied up and split up for months. And you know, you just don't want to get involved with somebody like this. Call them back in 6 months and see how it goes, you know, if they're in a better position again. But if they say, no, it's not a lot of money, we want to give these guys a chance to buy now. I work with something called the DISC profile, DISC, divides people
Jason,
into...
just jump in for one second, just to ask you a quick question on that.
Sure.
If a lot of the guys on this call, like a lot of your sales obviously are you know, big checks up front for the product that you're selling. A lot of us, we try and sell our service on a monthly subscription.
Mm-hmm.
So in this instance, if he said $60,000 was a lot up front, could we say then, well, yeah, it is a lot up front, but hey, look, this is what it is if we break it out over 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let him have it in a more manageable fashion.
Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there in case others were thinking that too.
Yeah.
In this instance, would we break it up over 12 months, or would we say, well, look, if we had it in a more manageable monthly fee, would that work for you?
Yeah, that would be between you and your prospect. I mean, it's got to do with your comfort level and how you want to proceed.
Because I wouldn't want to prospect him out at 60, you know, a high enough figure when I personally would probably I'd take a lot. We'd all take 60 grand for Google Places if we could get it. But I mean, you know, theoretically, if I could get him for maybe $8, $9, even $1,000 a month over a 12-month period or an ongoing fee, it would be better for me rather than prospecting him out, so to speak. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that bit.
Sure, yeah. If they go, whoa, that's a lot of money, then sure, okay. Well,
thanks.
You know, we could try this other solution. What do you think of this? Right. But the knee-jerk reaction is to say, wow, that's a lot of money, whether it's $5 or $500,000, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. But again, that's between you and your prospect and a negotiation thing that you can work on with them if you have to. I wouldn't just drop there. by default or automatically, make them work for it. If they really insist that they can't pay X amount of money, then you can, sure, bring this up as a possibility. Okay, well, sometimes we work like this. Here's another option for you. How does that sound? Would that work for you? Okay, so we'll move on to the back to the DISC profile here. So it divides people into 4 different behavioral types, and we can kind of predict what they're going to do next once we know. And the Ds, who are the kind of pushy, aggressive, self-starter types, they're often running small businesses or large businesses, and they make decisions fast based on strategic value equations, and we just gave them one. If you spend $60,000, you can get, conservatively, minimum, a $3.6 million income stream. That is all they need to know. Again, these guys don't care about details. They want somebody else to take care of that, and they don't care how you do it. Okay? They don't care what your solution is. So once in a while, one of these Ds, you're going to be talking to them, they'll be ready to buy right now. I'm not saying all of them will. It might be 100, 1 in 100, 1 in 200, I don't know. But once in a while, they'll be ready to buy. So if you say, John, that's great. That's $60,000. You're comfortable with it, good with it. How do you get involved in this kind of a thing? Do you write me a purchase order, bring out your credit card, write me a check? Go into the back office and give me a big bag of money? How do you do it? And they'll probably laugh. And some of them will say, yeah, let's get started. I'll write you a check right now. It can happen. So might as well give them a chance. The rest of them will say, well, we're moving too fast. we gotta talk about this a little bit more. I need to see the solution, before we go any further or I make any decision. And that's fine, John, I appreciate that. Excuse me, I'd be surprised if you didn't, But here's your natural point, okay? For whatever presentation or demonstration that you're going to do, here's the natural point for a break. If you need time to go do research and prepare a report or some kind of presentation, go do it. This is the time. And you can say, look, I need a few days to put this presentation together. What I'd like to do is I'll put this together. It'll take me 3 days. Let's set a time 4 days from now to talk for about half an hour, and we'll go over it and I'll answer all your questions. Does that sound good? And book it. Now, don't ever, 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 same as with mobile sites, put a report together or something and just send them over the information and wait for them to respond. That would be a huge mistake because you'll never hear about anything that's wrong. Okay? You'll never hear about it. So what we want to do is get on the phone with them and then send them the report and then go through it with them line by line. And then you will hear actual responses. And if they like something, you don't like something, you have a chance to adjust. That's important. Otherwise, you're just going to wonder what they thought about it and never hear from them again. And then you end up chasing them, and that's not what we want to do. Okay. We use this close in which the prospect closes themselves because they have all the information. And it kind of works like this. If I show you what you want to be shown in the way you want to be shown, will you give me a yes or a no at the end? So we got to structure it like this. Once they agree to meet with you, you say, great. Look forward to it. I'm happy to do this work, and it is a bit of work. The only thing that I ask in return is that you give me a definitive yes or a no when we're done our talk. And, I'll answer all your questions. Then here's the reason why. If we go, I'll go through everything and you love it and you want to move ahead, the answer is yes. That's great, and we'll figure out what that next step looks like. Alternately, if we go through everything and it takes somehow 3 hours and we're talking and the answer is no, you look at me and you say, I'm just, it just isn't for us, sorry, thanks. That's okay too. I promise not to get offended. I won't get upset at you. What I can't accept, though, is that you need to think it over, and here's the reason for that. In the past, I've let people tell me that they need to think it over. And the problem was that they didn't. The answer was actually no, but they were too polite. They didn't want to hurt my feelings, so they didn't tell me that. So instead of a think it over, what I actually got was instead of a no, what I actually got was a think it over with a 2-week waiting period and maybe a free torture treatment as my emotions went up and down. So I just don't do that anymore. So does that make sense? Can you give me a yes or no when we're done? If they can't, if they say no, really? I'm surprised. Why not? You probably will end up qualifying them out again, just like with the budget question. There'll probably be something wrong. But most of the time, people will say, sure, if you lay it out like that and explain the whole reason why. Okay. So I want you to look at how close you are to the sale here. If they have a need, the money, monetize the problem, they have a budget, you understand it, both of you, and they're going to give you a yes or no when you're done. So we're this close. All you have to do is tip them over the edge with your presentation of your solution. That's it. Okay. So Kevin, I'm pretty much done my section there. If you want to open it up for a question or two, that would be cool. And then I've got to go out for dinner with my in-laws, who are all
Thanks very much,
storming around the house. I don't know if you can hear them in the background, but they seem to be determined to make as much noise as they can.
Well, they didn't. I didn't really hear them, so
Good.
no worries.
Okay. Well, they're here, and there's lots of them.
Okay, guys, I'd like to leave the floor open to everyone if they would like to fire some questions at Jason.
Sure. You've got time to answer 2 or 3.
Yeah, don't miss this opportunity because
don't be shy. Ask me anything you want.
Don't be shy.
I'm not going to
when
write
will
a
the
script
recording
for you
be?
right now, but
When will the recording be posted? What I'll do is I'll do 2 options. One, I'll make the recording available as soon as it's ended. I'll upload it to Dropbox, and I'll have a public link available so you can download it ASAP. But also, Roger has very kindly offered to do a recording on his end. So when he has his version done, we'll also make that available as well. So we'll have you covered anyway. So give us 24 hours, or well, it'll be sooner than that, but 24 hours we'll have it available. So guys, open to some questions for Jason.
Kevin, do you want to talk about the offers, or while they're doing
I was going to move on to that shortly. Yeah.
Okay. Either or.
Here we go. That's awesome, guys. This was great, Jason. Seriously, some good, valuable information in that. So thank you very much. Let me move on to the next slide. All right. Well, okay. So Jason's got some great training. I personally have been through all of these. And I know a number of you on the call have also taken up with, these offers with Jason. But Jason, I'd like you to just let people know what you've got on offer here, and just explain to them what's involved and what they get.
Okay. All right. This first one is probably the most powerful thing I can do for you and with you. It's a one-on-one coaching call. It's actually 2 hours. It's not 30 minutes.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
No, that's okay. The first part of it is 30 minutes, which is the getting rid of your fear of cold calling forever. I'm going to unlock something in your head. It's actually a specific part of your brain that's been blocking you, and get you unafraid of calling. And then we're going to look at a completely different way of approaching making phone calls that nobody's ever taught you. And it's going to flip your head around. When you go read the reviews on these WSOs, and this one in particular, you'll see there's a consistent message of inspiration and effectiveness, and they want to go out there right as soon as they're done the call with me and start phoning people. It's kind of scary because usually it's 10 at night or a Sunday or something like that, and they can't, and they're like, darn it, I have to wait. And you also get a considerable amount of recorded information, audio, video, PDF content with that. And I'm going to be raising the prices on all these. That's not the prices going up close. That is Jason is working too hard and needs to get paid more for his effort close. But so I would if you're interested in getting these, I would get them soon because I will be raising the prices by the end of May. That coaching call it has really changed a lot of people's lives, and when you read through those reviews, I think they're going to astonish you. And there's some there seem to be two kinds of people that I talk to: the people with no experience and the guys with the 20-year veterans who are stuck on something. And you'll read that I unlock them and get them back to their potential and their earning again. It's fun. Mm-hmm. If for some reason that wasn't in your budget, and I kind of want you to go buy this anyway instead of the call, because then I don't have to deliver it. My time is so tight now. There is a recorded version. Now, I cannot personalize that recorded version for you. That's the only problem with it. It's got a lot of the main content that I would deliver in a live call. However, you will also read in some of those descriptions or reviews of the live call, I will customize it for people. If they already know how to cold call and don't have any problem with that, I have completely ditched that and gone on and done very specific doctoring with them about what's going on in their sales life and corrected some issues that they're having so that they're back to work. Okay? So with the live call, you're not just limited to Canagan repeating the canned script. That's just not the way it works. You get a lot of extra stuff that is relevant to you, and I'll just take you through this process of finding out about you and your background and your potential customers and what we can do to make you more effective and achieve more in less time, right? So it's kind of exciting. And you also get that recorded version with the live call as well. So and people go into this, the back end of my site where I deliver this recorded version, and go in there for 2 days. They disappear looking at all the content, literally, and then they come back and leave this like amazed review, right? So that's awesome. Now, if you were already comfortable with calling, but you needed help with what to say and when to say it, how to say it, the script training and coaching or consultation, the last offer here, the third one, is what I can help you with. Okay, and that is a series of videos that explain what to do and how to do it, and how this script works. And then you get a consultation with me to write and personalize the script for you. So that is something that I really need to raise the price on. When I do something for a company, it's over $1,000, and you can click. There's an example on in there. I've got in there for $1,300. So I'm not just baloney, throwing baloney at you. It's true. Because companies can afford more than private citizens. So, and I want to help people. That's why I'm doing this. But that's an amazing opportunity to get an effective script written for you that you understand, because you got the instruction manual for it as well. So those are all ready to go. And I'm on a mission. The reason why this stuff is as inexpensive as it is, if you want to go talk to another sales trainer, if you can find one, it's going to be hundreds or thousands of dollars an hour. Is that I'm on a mission to change the way the world perceives salespeople, from sort of the slimy trickster who will say anything to get an order into trusted advisors who are well paid for our efforts. And my goal is to convert 100,000 people like this, and we're well on our way. I've converted with that coaching call alone something like 112 people so far that I've worked with. So. And it's been a lot of fun. So anything you want to add to that, Kevin, or questions or anything like that?
Well, for those of you that are looking at this, make sure you read the WSO thread, because there are some amazing testimonials. And there's people on the call here who have been through your program. Mm-hmm. And if any of you would like, personally, if any of you would actually like to come on and say something, you're more than welcome. If not, no bother. But I always like, people want to, have their say. They're more than welcome.
Sure.
But no, what I wanted to do, I wanted to let everyone know just how serious I am about what Jason has to offer. I'm going to give anyone that picks up the product, or either of these. What was this? Where's the mobile website sales program that you spoke about? That was a couple of weeks ago. We did this webinar a few weeks ago. It was about selling mobile sites. So that replay has gone out, but I'll send it out again with another email if folks missed it. What I want to do, guys, I want to offer you all something. If you pick it up with Jason's platform, is a few of you have this. I've given it to a few of you, but for those of you that don't, it's not available for sale. And with Jason's training, I personally believe you will do something really good for your own business. But let me show it to you. this is some new software I made. It's called FB Last Posted. All right. So as the video starts playing, basically, guys, what this will do is if I put in some keywords, let's do restaurants. So say I want to sell Facebook management services to a restaurant. And I want to find restaurants that have more than 100 likes on their page. And they're based in London or whatever, Alabama. I won't bother having them talking about it, but search how many pages. There's 10 results per page, so if I put 1, I'll get 10 results. And I want to email the results to myself after. Basically, what this software will do is it will go out and find for me when the business Facebook page was last updated. Now, that's very important for me because I like to know how active a Facebook page is. Because if I see someone hasn't updated their Facebook page since December of 2011, and they're a restaurant and they've got more than 100 likes, well, it's a good indication that they're not really doing anything on their Facebook page. So I'm going to make this available to everyone that picks up Jason's program. You won't be able to buy this software. I've had it made. I made it myself, actually. It's really good. I was saying that myself. I've been using it for about a week and a half, and it's found me some really good nuggets here in Ireland of businesses that haven't been using their Facebook pages as they should. And with Jason's training, I have been able to get some traction. So for those of you that are interested, you can see. Can you see the page, guys? Can you see my software?
I can.
Just got a message off my head. You can see it, yeah? Okay. Cool. Well, look, that's available. But just for everyone on the call, if you're an offline assistant member, that is actually in the members area as well. You will get that. But for those of you on the call that are going to pick up Jason's program, you'll all get this as well. So just send me an email, and I'll set you up with that. So that's a buy and buy. Let me just go back to this page here. So that's what I've got for you there, guys. Anyway, back to the training here. I don't want to keep Jason on all afternoon, nor do I want to keep you guys on all afternoon, or morning, or evening. So if anyone does have any questions, maybe 1 or 2 more. If not, we'll wrap it up. But there have been actually a few questions here that I've missed. So if you just bear with me, Jason. Yeah, that's actually, John Flynn made the point that the key seems to be getting them to calculate, getting them to bring the figure forward, getting them to give you a number. Mm-hmm. And they commit then to a value in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
When you're cold calling, when you're cold calling for whoever it may be, you may not be getting the actual decision maker. Do you always need to get the decision maker when you're talking numbers? In your experience, does it always have to be the decision maker? Could you speak to the technical guy, but you'd end up having to, if you speak to the technical guy about what you're offering, do you find yourself having to then have to relay exactly the same information to the decision maker, even though they might necessarily understand it?
Well, I guess this has a lot to do with approach, and people tend to call on people at the level that they feel that they're at. So if you feel that you're a mid-level manager type, you're going to call at the mid-level manager level. And my advice to you is to work as hard as you can on starting to view yourself as the CEO of your own business and think like one. Think like a president and go talk to presidents. What I do is I personally call at the top of companies and work my way down, not bottom up. Because if you look at what top officers do, they're actually the only people that the president or the CEO or that top level officer is the only one who can actually reallocate resources. They're the only ones who can change the plan. The rest of them are all empowered yes men and women. So if you talk to the top person and you get them to listen to you and then ask, well, okay, who is it in the company that should be responsible for implementing this kind of a thing? They are going to send you down there to that person. Now, how much credibility do you think you have if the president calls into the CFO's office or the IT manager's office and says, hey, Canigan's on the line here, Kevin's on the line here, and I want you to talk with him about blah, blah, blah. right? That person is, whoever that IT manager is going to pay a lot more attention than you calling out of the blue, right?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Start top and and filter down.
Right, but you have to get into the mental state where you're thinking about yourself as the boss.
Mm.
Okay, and if you run your own business, you are the boss. And you have just as much value. These presidents and CEOs don't want to do what you're doing. Even if they know exactly what you know, they don't want to do it. They delegate for a living. So you have value to them, whether they know what you know or not. If they don't know what you know, you got tons of value to them because they don't know how to do what you do. Believe me, top officers are always looking for talent. You can do something for them and you talk in these numbers that I've given you this way, they're going to listen to you.
Mm. Nice. Thank you, Jason.
Okay.
All right. Well, people aren't really forthcoming with questions.
All right.
You did give us an awful lot of value. Thank you for
They're
coming.
probably sitting there thinking about it. Okay, well, good. Well, we're about to go out to dinner, so that's awesome. Okay, well, thanks, everybody. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, Roger is going to also make an MP3 version for this. So thank you, Roger. That's very generous of you. We'll all be able to listen to it on our MP3 players when we're driving. So, yeah, great. I really enjoyed it. Another great webinar.
Okay.
So any final words, Jason, you'd like to give?
Just again to thank you and thank your listeners, guys and gals. If you weren't here, it wouldn't be much of a webinar. So I really appreciate you taking your time to come on and hopefully learn something.
There's just a message here from Roger. Oh yes, thank you, Roger, for remembering that. Roger has an amazing memory. Roger said that you earlier on in the call you mentioned leaving. You mentioned something about leaving a message on a voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
And how you do it. And I don't recall you covering it.
Yeah.
But
I gave two voicemail messages that you could leave. One was based on the little unsure method. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure if you're the right person I should talk to. Switchboard sent me through to you, right? I'm not sure if this is under your area of responsibility, right? And then the other message was, hey, Kevin, it's Jason Kanigan. We haven't met, but I have a quick question about your business. It's 4 o'clock here in Wilmington on the East Coast. I'll be in my office until 5. I'm back at 9 tomorrow morning. Here's my number. And that gets two-thirds of people to call back typically because it works on curiosity. And when they do call back, they say, what's this about? Well, and you go right into your 30-second commercial. The reason I called is I typically work with tool and die manufacturers who are frustrated because blah, 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 blah. And you move right into your call. Just as if they picked up.
Right. Well, look, we'll finish up the webinar. Jason, 100,000 thank yous for this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
And again, without the audience, it would be just a phone call between you and I. So
exactly.
So, all right, guys. Thank you all very much, and thank you to our guest presenter this evening, Jason Kanigan. And as Jason mentioned, he will be raising his prices. And for those of you that have bought in, you know that the value is there 10, 15, 20 times what you've paid for it. Yeah, get in. Get in before the end of May. I think you said you were up in the price, so got a few weeks there. But nonetheless, if you're interested, certainly get in. I'll have the recording, my one up as ASAP, and whenever I get in touch with Roger and he's ready, we'll have it out to you. So thank you all very much for popping along. And Jason, again, thank you very much as well.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Bye.